The champagne celebrations have been flowing since February. The inaugural season of Grand American Road Racing is headed into the home stretch with overall and class championships wide open. In sports racer competition, legendary racing marques such as Ferrari, Lola, and Ford are vying for championship honors. And in GT production-based racing, the venerable German mainstays Porsche and BMW are engaged in a war for pride alongside Detroit's best. They've all come together at the revival of a road racing classic, the Road America 500. Nestled by Elkhart Lake in central Wisconsin lies one of the world's great racetracks, the 4-mile ribbon of asphalt known as Road America, site of the Road America 500. Hello everyone, I'm Bob Varsha alongside sports car legend David Hobbs. The Road America 500 is the second of three great old race names being revived in this inaugural season of the Grand American Road Racing Championship. The Paul Revere 250 was the first, the Road America 500 the second, and the 6 hours of Watkins Glen will wrap up the season. Right now, let's get down to the grid and hear from John Bizignano.
Well, you're looking at the beautiful number 27 car here on pole position at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. And it got on pole by not being the fastest car during qualifying because that was totally washed out. But DDA has won pole this year down in Homestead, and we know that he can be the fastest man on the track. Here, because qualifying being washed out, they went by team owner points, and Kevin Dorn has most of those. Not so much track time so far, DDA. Is that a little bit upsetting?
Not really, especially yesterday when we didn't really work on the setup we want to work on. But beyond pole is always good, but it's a 5-hour race. It's not very important. You know, front row is always good, but 5 hours, I don't know, 5 pit stop, you know, it's doesn't matter too much where you start in this race.
You're very casual about that pole position. Went from a Belgium opinion to a British opinion. Now, Andy Wallace, you have raced all over the world, but I can't believe it. Your first time at the great Elkhart Lake Circuit. I hear you love it.
Well, I can't believe it either. I can't believe I've been to all the other tracks and not this one. This is one of the great tracks of the world. I'm glad I'm here now. I'm so glad to have discovered it. I love the long straights and the fast corners and the elevation changes, and I think this kind of track will really suit these sports cars well.
Well, he can't wait to get out there, guys. Now to my pit partner, Calvin Fish, with more on the very unlucky number 5 car.
One of the hottest cars on the circuit this year has been the number 5 Saleen SR, but in more ways than one. I'm standing by with Steve Saleen. Steve, the car was comprehensively damaged on Friday. What did you guys have to go through to get it on the grid today?
Well, Calvin, as you know, it caught on fire. Differential broke, which went into the gas fuel cell. It caught on fire, and basically what we've done is we saved the roof scoop, and we rebuilt the whole car underneath it over the last 48 hours. The team has really done a remarkable job. Everybody came by and said, there's no way you could do this. Last night we fired it up. This morning it was very quick in the warm-up session, and it's just remarkable to the team that we have here.
The boys on the team have only had a couple of hours sleep over the last 48 hours, Steve, and you've got a 500-miler hopefully to run here this afternoon. How's the endurance of the guys on the team?
They're really strained. There's no question about it, and we've had to make other arrangements. They have people come by and wake them up, but periodically, so they won't fall asleep today. But the Saleen Allen Speed Lab crew in general has done a remarkable job this year. We've overcome a lot of adversity. This by far was the biggest one we had to overcome. The fact that we're starting this race is a small miracle. It also shows why we've nicknamed the horse on the side Blaze.
Well, good luck this afternoon, and just to make sure that they have some manufacturer points at the end of the day, they've actually entered a second car. The number 4 machine will start at the back of the grid, maybe score a few valuable points, guys.
Okay, thanks, Biz and Calvin. There you have the high points of the weekend. Here's a look at our pole sitters by class, as John Bizignano mentioned, set by owner points after heavy thunderstorms washed out qualifying. Didier Tays will have the Dorn Lista Judd on pole in the sports racer class. Ryan Hampton and partner Larry Oberto are yet to be beaten in the smaller, more nimble sports racer 2 category. And there's a great story in GTO as well. First, a look at our map.
Well, as Andy Wallace said, this is one of the great circuits. 4 miles long, the longest lap in North America. And as you can see, a tremendous amount of corners in there, all so different. 1 and 3, 5, one of the most famous corners, very tight. Let's go on board now with a 74 car. Just coming to the carousel. Long, almost 180-degree right-hander this. Build up speed all the way through, then as you exit, come right to the edge of the road there, and right in front of you down the road is the kink, the fastest corner here, and that leads on to Kettle Moraine. This is this bottom straight, very fast, 170 miles an hour into Canada Corner, hard braking for this corner. Then you weave up here through the trees, under the overpass here. A pretty dangerous, tight part of the road. That back on board now with the Informix cars. We take turn 14. Obviously, this corner is very critical because it's a long straight all the way uphill here, so you really got to get good exit speed off 14 as you come down this front straightaway. There's the start-finish line. The flag's down there, and down into turn 1. Very exciting, great course to drive, and of course, it's a tremendous viewing track too.
Ask any racer or fan what he or she thinks of Road America. We'll get a smile. We'll be back. Back at Road America, the field is making its way around to the green flag to begin 500 miles, 125 laps of this beautiful and challenging 4-mile circuit. Now let's take a look at our Informix starting grid. On the pole, Didier Taze of Belgium and Scottsdale, Arizona in the Doran Judd, alongside James Weaver leading the Sports Racer Driving Championships. Jack Baldwin is second in that championship, and he'll be working hard today. Then Mimo Schiattarella in the slightly down on power Ferrari, Elliott Forbes Robinson and the Riley and Scott Lincoln, and the Lola Judd, as you saw, 5 different car and engine mechanical combinations in the top 5 positions. Once again, the starting grid determined by car owner points, and each of the drivers that you see will simply be the starting driver. Each team will have at least 2, sometimes 3 or even 4 drivers, and the times you see are their best laps set in the practice before the thunderstorms came on Saturday and washed away qualifying. 40 cars in all, split into 5 categories: big, powerful, open-topped sports racers, the lighter, less powerful, more nimble sports racer 2s, the GTO production-based heavy breathers, the under 3-liter engine-sized GTU cars, and the American GT tube frame heavy metal machines. Now, before we get started, let's get down to our pit reporters for their final thoughts. Calvin?
Well, with this race being 500 miles, it's not a 24-hour, it's not a 12-hour, but it's certainly not a sprint race. And that really puts a heavy demand on brakes here at Road America. Long, fast straightaways, very heavy braking zones. James Weaver, for one, is very concerned. If it stays dry, they're going to have to watch their brake wear. But staying dry may be a big factor here this afternoon, Biz. We've seen changing weather conditions all day.
You're absolutely right, Calvin. The sun is shining right now, but yesterday and even this morning there were huge amounts of rain on the track. The skies here in Wisconsin opened up and there was absolute deluge, and there are some dark clouds off to where the weather's going to be coming from. So the real unknown question here will be wet settings in the cars and the wet rubber on the ground. There are over 6 different tire manufacturers here in Elkhart Lake, and the one with the best rain tire may end up being the winner.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, and let's add one more variable into the mix, and that is fuel mileage. The Judd gets it with that Formula One derived V10 power. The Ford teams, however, have been working very hard on their V8s. They are doing a lot better than they did at the season opening Rolex 24 at Daytona.
And obviously, a lot's going to depend on the caution periods in this 500-mile race. The front row going down to turn 1 here. Very long front straight. Look at all that dust, all that rain yesterday's washed a lot of mud and gravel onto this track. It's going to be very messy for the first couple of laps.
And James Weaver jumps from 2nd to 1st in turn 1 around Didier Taze in the Doran Judd. This Ferrari red machine number 27, Mimo Schiattarella, slots into 3rd, but he's being pressed hard by that brand new Lola.
A lot of downforce on those Judds, and James Weaver using it to full effect there as he goes into turn 1 and got around him. Now they're going down this long back straight into turn 5. This is always a great corner for overtaking, turn 5 at the end of this long, fast, straight, very tight left-hand corner. Good approach. James Weaver's got enough lead there, no one's going to get around him there. The Lister car dropping back just a little bit. There's John Field, Schiattarella in the Ferrari 4. Up the hill to 6. This is another great little turn here.
Hard on the gas, plunging downhill. Looks like that Ferrari is scrambling for grip there, and he's about to be passed for 4th. Nope, he hangs on to it.
Turn 7's a quick right-hand flick, and this one here, turn 8, also a crucial corner. You've got to get out of here well, because the carousel coming up here is a long, long turn. And this is where these cars with good downforce are really helped enormously. Schiattarella still holding off Jack Baldwin.
A couple of SR2s, yeah. Lots of different racing lines being taken, and it's not a completely consistent circle. You have to kind of feed in the power because the turn kind of widens out.
And no camber to help you either. It's a difficult corner. It's inclined to understeer a lot. This is Canada corner. A little bit of an uphill slope here with the right, left weave under that bridge. There's more runoff area than there used to be. It's a new bridge now. Elkhart Lake spent a lot of money on this track, or the Road America track. There's one of the BMWs off pretty early on. That's the 54. Oh, and the 68 car. That's one of the Redmond Bright pill beams over from England. So
one of our sports racers is off, and one of our GTU BMWs.
That was Mark Smith in the pill beam. That was the car that Brian Redmond was driving just a couple of weeks ago in the middle of the night in Daytona. Not here this weekend, but his team is.
The Paul Revere 250. That was Tony Jennings in the BMW M3 for Genesis Racing. So pick up the race leaders once again. Now here's another look at the start in real time from on board the Informix.com 74 Ranch. Riley and Scott Judd in the hands of Jack Baldwin.
Right behind the pole sitter, there's the Ferrari that was alongside. Baldwin sneaking up the inside as they come to this. Now you can see that dust starting to come out from under the wheels of these cars. And obviously these high downforce cars really throw that dust up into turn one. Right-hander. John Field just slipping in there in that black as a yet unpainted Lola. They only had the thing like last Sunday, so very new car. And here it is, hanging right onto third spot, doing very well.
Boy, that was a 3-wide start. Emilio Schiarella almost found himself on the wall. Now we have another of the GTU cars off.
The truck was a bit injudicious. Whoop.
Absolutely.
Here goes John Field and the Lister car all over James Weaver. John Field goes down the inside there of Didier Tays. Good move. That's into turn 3. And leading onto this long straight. Another new bridge there, another new traffic bridge, making getting around the infield here really easy. Down into turn 5. Now is John Field going to have a go here at James Weaver?
Not quite close enough in the braking area. Well, I'll say this for this Intersport team, they just get more and more competitive with each passing race. Another look at that move for second.
Didier Tays goes to the inside of James Weaver to come down to turn 3. Then he thinks he's going to go to the outside for some reason or other, and that leaves a golden opportunity for John Field to slide down the inside in that new Lola. A great move there by John Field.
Normally 2 cars from Intersport Racing in the field, but they've chosen to concentrate their efforts on this new Lola, and it's paying off. There are your top runners. We'll be back. Welcome back to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and the Road America 500 on the Grand Dam Trail. Bob Varsha, David Hobbs, Calvin Fish, and John Bizignano with you. And there is 2-time defending SCCA BF Goodrich Tires Trans Am champion Paul Gentilossi. He decided to enter his Trans Am car in the GTO category here at Elkhart Lake, and as you can see, even though he's on and off the track, he's leading the 800-pound gorilla in the GTO class, Terry Borcheller in the Saleen Allen Speed Lab Mustang. This is one of several interesting new entries to the Grand Am race this weekend. Earlier, Calvin and John took a walk through the paddock to survey all of the new boys.
The entry in the Grand Am Series continues to grow race by race in its inaugural season. Now, the key to success in any series is certainly diversity of equipment and having some big names in the field. What we're going to do now is to bring you up to speed with some of the new kids on the block here at the Road America 500. We'll start with the sport racer category. Now, Intersport Racing have campaigned 2 cars all year, one of the older Riley and Scotts and one of the older Lolas. But here at Road America, they're campaigning a brand new Lola B2 K10 chassis. Now, we've seen this car in the hands of Scott Schubart looking very competitive with that trusty Ford V8. The car itself, carbon fiber chassis, some very trick aerodynamics, really produces a lot of downforce on this car. But with the Intersport team, the unique aspect of the car is in the back end of this machine. They've put in the back end of this car one of the Judd V10s. It's been very successful already this year, winning at Homestead with Team Duran and also scoring a pair of victories for Team 74 at Mid-Ohio and at Phoenix. I think this may be the hottest combination on the circuit right now.
Road racing champion Paul Gentilossi is always looking for ways to expand the involvement of their sponsors and their team. That is why he is here with his beautiful Jaguar XKR. They wanted to see how their design would handle the competition in Grand Am GTO and AGT. So far the results are very positive. As the current car stands, it is overweight, under-tired. In GTO they would be allowed more aerodynamics and a bigger motor. But still in the 3rd qualifying practice, they were the fastest GTO and faster than all the other AGTs. Paul Gentilozzi with his Jaguar XKR is taking a look at Grand Am Racing.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Picking up the action on the backside through the King. Traffic ahead for James Weaver, the race leader.
John Field still hanging on well there in that new Lola, and right behind him, still Didier Tays in, of course, the Dawn Special, which is really a Ferrari chassis with a Judd engine.
I'm sure Didier Tays probably kicking himself a little bit about letting Field get by him back there in turn 3.
He was obviously trying to make a move on Weaver himself and tried to go around the outside and made a beautiful opening for Field to slip into, which he did. But Field is not losing any ground at all to James Weaver there in the lead, coming up on more traffic on that long front straightaway. 180 mile an hour into turn 1. Of course, the GTO car's going pretty quick here too.
Weaver had a look over at the pit wall. We got word from one of the corners that John Field in the Lola may have gotten into the back of James Weaver, so he took a look over at the pit wall, perhaps asking the crew if the car looked all right at the rear. We'll take a break. Action up front is heating up. Stay with us. Welcome back to Road America, where we have had a change in the lead at the Road America 500. John Field from Dublin, Ohio, in that new Lola chassis with the Judd V10 engine, has taken over the lead from this man, James Weaver, who held it from the green flag.
Boy, oh boy, that John Field, that new car certainly is going. Let's have another look at it. On the outside here, James Weaver gets trapped with some traffic here at the carousel. One of the GTO cars there in front of him, and John Fields takes the advantage and goes right around the outside. A tricky place to do that. And hangs on to the lead as they go through turn 5, scaring the 81 car off the track.
And he has company. We've got a couple of cars off at turn 5. That red car is one of the Sports Racer 2 category machines. Off and on, a lot of drivers making their first visit to this high-speed racetrack that also calls for very good brakes. Some of them are just overcooking the corner here and there.
And in spite of the 4-mile length, of course, the traffic still plays a big part. Here you see a replay of that action down into turn 5. Darren Law in the 81 there locks it up, decides that discretion is the better part of valor. And just goes a little bit down the escape road there, rather than try and hack it around the corner. Here we see Paul Gentilozzi coming into the pits.
He's got his hand out the window. He's going to go behind the wall.
Looks like.
Yes, he is. No sign of damage to the car. Now, this was moments ago. This was down in turn 5 once again. Gentilozzi went straight on at 5, and the safety road allows the driver to cut off a large portion of the racetrack. You see him taking to the grass to get off the racing line. Meanwhile, action in the pits. This is the new GTO class leader, Terry Borchiller, in the Saleen Allen Mustang. Let's get down to John Bizignano.
Paul Gentilozzi, an early stop. It seems like a long one. You're back in your paddock area.
Well, we had a power steering hose leak, the steel braided line between the pump and the steering rack itself, and there's just no point in trying to drive it with no power steering. So we came in, the guys are going to put a line on it. While we're doing it, we'll make a couple little changes on the car, and we don't like giving up the lead, but we'll get back out.
You enjoying your Grand Am weekend?
I'm sorry?
Are you enjoying your Grand American weekend?
Oh, very much, very much. Everybody here was very nice to us and very gracious. A lot of the people that are here racing are people I've raced with for 20 years, so it's not a new thing.
I'll bet Paul Gentilozzi knows a lot of the drivers in this field. There's the 00 up ahead once again. That is the American GT class Mustang in the hands of Paul Jenkins, Bruce Nesbitt, and Steve Pelkey, being chased by Darren Law in this GTU class G&W Motorsports Porsche 911 GT3R.
And right behind him is Andy Pergam in the number 50 BMW, also in that GTU class. So this is a tremendous battle here for the class lead. And about to come on the potentially much faster 00 car, which could really become a foil for these guys on the twistier bits. Obviously it'll be quicker on the straights, but they're going to catch him up sooner or later. Around that turn 3, Darren Law hangs on. This is also a very important corner here because you've got this long straight in front of you, and you want to try and maintain really good speed here, so obviously you've got to come off that turn 3 with good speed. At the same time, you want to be right in touch with the guy, because coming into this braking area here in turn 5, this is the key out braking part of this racetrack. Great corner.
And right now, the car that's driving it hardest is actually one of the SR2 category cars. As you ride with Darren Law, There is Ryan Hampton. He and partner Larry Oberto have been joined by Paul Macy from Toronto for this race. But this Lola with Nissan V6 power is undefeated in the SR2 categories. He goes by the GTU class leader. 5 races, 5 victories for the partnership of Oberto and Macy, the Archangel Motorsport Service Nissan Lola. We'll take a break and be back with more from Road America. Don't go away. Back at Road America, let's pick up the leader in one of our 5 classes here at the Road America 500. This is the number 91 RVO Motorsport Chevy Camaro, leading the American GT category in the hands of Roger Schramm, Werner Frank, and Irv Hare, who's looking for his 2nd class victory. He won at Phoenix in partnership with Jack Baldwin in a sports racer car. Now he has a shot at an AGT victory. The top 2 cars in the overall are in. Here's John Bizignano.
John Field, who's been having that wonderful run up front, has brought the number 37 car into the pits, and he's frantic in the cockpit. He's definitely not happy with his driver's position. They are trying to replace the padding in that car. This car has just arrived, first race out, so he's in a bit of a frantic situation. They are not changing tires. They are doing a complete refueling of the car. But right now, the major thing is to try and get this driver comfortable. He was battling early on, right up front, running in 2nd position, but right now they're having a very lengthy stop.
And that long stop has cost him the race lead. There is Andy Wallace, who has taken over the Dyson Racing Riley and Scott Ford from James Weaver, and has taken over the point. As you see John Field pulling out, looked like they were doing a front air pressure adjustment on that Field Lola.
There you see the Informant's car now driven by George Robinson. It seemed to me like they just took tyre pressure out of that Lola, so that would indicate that maybe he's trying to get a little bit more grip in the front. Of course, the temperature's changing a lot today. You can see the sun is shining brightly now on George as he goes down to turn 8. This is a tough braking turn. I tell you, these cars are out there really quick, and this corner is tight. Tighter than it looks, so it's a big break into turn 8. Here's that carousel, great shot again. You can see you want to try and make an apex right about here, and then you got to let it drift right out because you want to pick up as much speed as you possibly can. Looks like you've got the GTO leader in front of the number 5 car. This is the King, fastest corner here. And then this is Kettle Moraine, which is sort of the back straight, but as you can see, it's not straight. And it's very difficult to lap slower cars here because they tend to wander all over the road and take a bit of a line. It can be a bit confusing.
Out into Canada Corner, you saw the course workers waving at those slower cars up ahead to stay over to the left and let the faster sports racer come through. Up under the Billy Mitchell Bridge, headed for 14. There's several blind brows around this racetrack. You just saw one. Here comes another one. The flag stand is on the other side of this brow. There's the pit entry on the right. Flat out, over the crest they come, and now they can see the flag stand.
Again, lapping some traffic as he crosses the start-finish line.
Let's get down to the pit lane once again. John Bizignano with the pole sitters pit.
Didier Tays right on the money, an awful lot of grass up front of the car. He's definitely been off course. A tremendous amount of grass. They'll have to get that out of the air duct into the radiator. There'll be a problem there. 4 tires on, refueling. Didier is staying in the car. Mario Baldi and Freddie Lister are still waiting. They're doing a heck of a job trying to get this car out quickly. But right now it seems like the refueling is taking a little bit of extra time. Didier Tay starting from pole, a lengthy stop for the fuel. Didier watching his man, and they are out of here. Please let him get out of here. Gone, Didier Tay.
John Bizignano, always the most passionate pit calls in all of motorsports. Here's an interesting story. This is not the race-leading number 16 Dyson racing machine. This is the number 20 in the hands of car owner Rob Dyson, who has taken over from the man who started it, Elliott Forbes Robinson. He is currently running outside the top 5 and passed by the Lola in the hands of John Field.
But only just. Look how quick that Riley and Scott Ford is down the straight. When it comes to the braking zone, John Field with the superior downforce on that new Lola is able to outbrake him as they go down to turn 3, getting involved in some traffic. This was the position where John Field did that great move on Didier Tays at the beginning of the race, pulling out now onto the long straightaway down to turn 5. So John Field trying to make up some of the ground he lost in that long pit stop, trying to get that rubber packing in behind him to make himself more comfortable in the car.
He's got traffic ahead of him. You're right about that being a Ford in Rob Dyson's car. It's an identical engine to the one in the sister car, but it's badged as a Lincoln. Take a break and return to Road America. Back at Road America, the battle for GTU class leadership remains hot. There is Darren Law, the number 81 G&W Porsche 911 GT3R. Just behind him is the GTO class leading Saleen Allen Speed Lab Mustang, but behind that car is the second in GTU, number 50 Genesis Racing BMW in the hands of Andy Pilgrim.
This is going to be a tough battle with that GTO car between him. The 50 car is probably quicker through the tight corners, probably a bit better on braking, but it's going to be difficult for him to get around the GTO car, a bigger, more powerful machine, especially on the long straights here at Road America. And of course, Darren Law has already done that, so Andy Pilgrim's got his work cut out now. But what a close battle this is for the GTU. So you've got your GTO and your GTU leaders right there in the same frame.
The GTU Driver Championship is going to be fun to watch. Mike Fitzgerald and Darren Law are sharing a car. They've won a series of races together, but they did not drive together in the season opening 24 hours, where Fitzgerald outscored his future teammate. So Mike Fitzgerald leads Darren Law by 16 points for the Drivers' Championship.
And as long as they keep driving together, that's the way it's going to end up.
That's right. Should be interesting with 2 races to go after the Road America 500 here on Speed Vision to see whether they split up to try to decide that championship or to give Law a shot at his teammate. GTU stands for under 3 liters, no turbochargers allowed in the class. Look at all that oil.
Oil, boy, oh boy, that oil on the screen now. Who's that coming from? He's been leading the 50 car, so I'd say that it probably came from the Borcella car when he went by it. I'm not absolutely sure, of course, but a lot of cars out there on the track, and he daren't touch that windscreen wiper, because if he does, that'll turn very opaque.
Sometimes it's better to leave it the way it is. Now here's the battle for second place. Up the road is Didier Tays in the Doran Judd. Recall, he has not gotten out of that car yet. This is for second place, and Andy Wallace is being chased by one of his erstwhile Dyson Racing teammates. That's Butch Leitzinger, who drove to victory at the Lime Rock round with James Weaver in that bright yellow Lola Ford. Great engine sound from those Fords.
Now, Butch Leitzinger, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago at the Paul Revere 250, they failed to make the start. They got on the grid and then the thing wouldn't start right there and then at the beginning, and they got left out and they never did make it into the race. But here, going extremely well.
Suffered heavy electronic problems. In fact, they've told us this weekend that they were unable to solve them. They changed the engine, changed the wiring looms, did everything they could think of, but could not cure the problem. And mysteriously, it has gone away this weekend.
So far. I hate those problems. Right? I hate those problems that go away and you don't know why they went away.
That's me knocking on wood in the background.
Yeah.
Now to the Sports Racer 2 category race, and this too is heating up. The 99 is the Martin Snow Larry Schumacher machine. Just ahead, the class leading and undefeated number 22 Oberto Hampton car.
Terrific battle here for all these classes at the moment. The lead obviously being duped out between Leitzinger and Wallace. This is a terrific battle here for the SR2, and of course GTO about the only guys who are out on their own there. The number 5 car. This is a good battle though for SR2.
It's Lola chassis for the SR2 category. Very tidy machines, relatively inexpensive for prototype sports cars, and they've become very popular, not only here on American shores in the Grand American Series, but also abroad in the Sports Racing World Cup, where they run a very similar category for smaller engined, more lightweight, very nimble cars. Very good turning, very good braking. This battle will only get better. We'll take a break and return. Welcome back to Road America, and there is the formerly GTO class leading Jaguar in the hands of Paul Gentilozzi, coming back out after going behind the wall to repair the power steering. Gentilozzi say it's very tough to drive these cars around a place like Road America without a little bit of help from the mechanicals. Here's the GTU class leader in for a pit stop.
And I'm no doubt he'll get that windscreen cleaned up too. Obviously a driver change, takes the wheel off.
That's interesting. We don't often see that in a GT car, having a removable steering wheel to aid in the driver changes. Darren Law will get out. Mike Fitzgerald, the class driver leader, will get in.
Having trouble getting that fuel nozzle. Threw him out a bit there where the car went up on the jack.
Well, we got a problem on course. This is Giorgio Vinella, who was added to the TRV Motorsports team in the sports racer category. Young Italian leading the Italian Formula 3 championship and a test driver for the Minardi Formula 1 team, who's been having an absolutely heavenly time driving at Road America this weekend, but he's got mechanical problems right now. Meanwhile, the Creighton Motorsports team pulls in. Butch Leitzinger with the black helmet climbs out. Scott Schubot will climb in. This car was running second in class behind the race-leading number 16 car. Finello, who has pulled it over, looks like he will not reach the pits. More action. Schubot heads out. Let's get down to Calvin Fish.
Number 16 currently in second place behind the Taze machine comes in. Andy Wallace going to switch over once again to James Weaver. The plan here is to do single stints with the drivers every time and fresh rubber. Really try and force the pace, force the issues, try and create some problems with the other cars by the pace of the race. But right now it looks like they're in a real battle with that Lister machine. Andy's turned over to James. These guys have worked together time in, time out. They do a great job. Driver change looks routine. Last drops of fuel going in. This team are coming off a victory at Daytona. James has had 3 wins this year. He's looking for number 4 here today at Road America. Full load of fuel is in. James runs out of the pit lane.
So James Weaver comes back out. John Field has climbed out of the Intersport Lola. Oliver Gavin, British driver, former winner of the McLaren Autosport Young Driver of the Year competition, comes back on the track. Just one appearance in the series thus far this year. He already has a reputation as being just that little bit aggressive. He and Jack Baldwin, no slouch in his own right when it comes to being aggressive, have touched wheels a couple of times.
But he is very quick on his way to Formula 1 stardom just a few years back. Here comes our leader now. Didier Taze gets out of the car, and into the car is going to get Freddie Leinhardt.
We were able to establish a big lead by letting Taze do a multiple stint early. Let's get down to John Bizignano.
Right now they are in the lead. Again, a lot of grass up front. This left-hand corner, all it needs to do is drop off, and there's a huge collection of grass which they are freeing right now so that the air can get to these radiators. Didier Taze having a little bit of problem getting Freddie into the car. They have changed all 4 tires. The fueling's going a little bit slow, but again, another very, very efficient stop for the Doran team.
Freddie Leinhardt takes over. In the background, you see Giorgio Vinella's car being pulled into the pit lane.
Now, Freddie Leinhardt's not as quick as Didier Taze, so he's going to be under extreme pressure from James Weaver and Scott Schubot in the 8 cars, I think.
Leinhardt goes out with the race lead. He's going to have to get that car up to speed as quickly as possible. You see traffic overhauling him. There's the GTO class leading Mustang in the pits. Let's get down to John Bizignano, who's with Didier Taze.
Okay, Didier, the pole may have come from mathematics over the season, but getting that lead, that had to be one great drive.
Well, the setup was more or less a guess before the race. It was, raining like you said yesterday and this morning. The track is supposed to be very slippery, and we put a little bit more downforce for security, and we did well. The car running perfectly. I wish we had a little bit of shorter gears with this downforce because I am a little bit slow on the straightaway, but otherwise the ending is perfect.
What about the rest of the event? Can you hold up front?
I hope so.
Thanks, Biz. Meanwhile, here's John Paul Jr. having taken over the number 20 Dyson Racing Riley and Scott Lincoln. He is being pursued by a new driver in the number 74 Informix car. That's Hurley Haywood. We'll be back. Welcome back. The Road America 500 is back after a 6-year absence here in the inaugural season of the Grand American Road Racing Championship. Bob Varsha, David Hobbs, John Bizignano, and Calvin Fish with you. Right here, John Paul Jr. is being chased heavily by one of the most decorated endurance sports car racers of all time, Hurley Haywood, now in that 74 Informix car.
This, of course, is the battle for 6th spot, and a very intense one it is too. Hurley pulling out there, pushing down the inside of John Paul to turn on. Bit of traffic in front, quite a bit of traffic in front.
The GTU cars up ahead, and one of the sports racers. That is the Sports Racer 2 car of Martin Snow and Larry Schumacher, being passed around the outside. He must be just coming out of the pits.
Pulled
he
out
should
the
have
pits, yeah.
Yeah, more speed than that.
Woo. Coming down to 3, and here comes the 37 car, the John Field Oliver Gavin car.
Ooh, and on the front stretch, we have a lead change as James Weaver has caught up Freddie Leinhardt and taken the lead from the Doran Judd. You mentioned as Leinhardt was coming out, David, that he's not quite as fast as his teammates Mauro Baldi and Didier Tays. Leinhardt has now handed over the race lead, and he still seems to be going quite a bit slower than that car should be. I wonder if he has a problem.
It could be, but it's a pretty graphic description, a pretty graphic illustration there of just how quick James Weaver is. Whistling around him at turn 3, around to turn 5 now, up the hill. Here's the car, here comes Freddie Leinhardt in the 27 car. Just lost the lead, so the Leinhardt car now in second. James Weaver assumes the lead.
Bedford Norcold car. This is the third to last race of this debut season for the Grand Am. James Weaver in control of the Sports Racer Drivers' Championship right now. None of these championships close to being clinched, although at the next race, Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières up in Quebec, Canada, could possibly see one or two of the championships clinched, particularly in GTO, where that Speed Lab Mustang has been dominant.
It's the Schiaparella car, the number 12 Ferrari, running in 4th overall.
Eric Van de Poel of Belgium now behind the controls in that bright, unmistakable Dayglow orange and green helmet.
Ralph Kelleners usually drives with Schiaparella, but Van de Poel is subbing for him this weekend as Kelleners is busy racing at the Nürburgring in Germany. So a nice drive here for Van de Poel. He's driven quite a few Ferraris, so he should be pretty used to these cars.
And he has an excellent record as an endurance racer in his own right. A lot of racing here in the United States, has a bit of Formula One experience, has Eric Van de Poel. This is the Ferrari 333 SP. Even though the air restrictors that's used to equalize horsepower among the various engine combinations in Sports Racer has been opened up a little bit for the Ferrari, they still reckon they're about 70 horsepower down to the big Judds and Fords. To the GTU race, that yellow polka-dotted number 81 G&W Motorsports Porsche GT3R is leading the class. Running very, very well.
Mike Fitzgerald, of course, leading the class here today and leading the championship. They've still got a lot of oil on that windscreen. I wonder if it's somehow coming up out of their own car. We haven't seen, of course, been an onboard camera with any other cars with windscreens, but it's pretty bad for him as he comes down to turn 8. Very quick run into 8. These cars are quick through these tight corners, these GTU cars, very quick.
There's a GTO car. This is Eric Messley, who has done very well in the GTO category with the Team Viper West machine. He is sharing with Stu Hayner this weekend, but they are having problems. And that is about as far as you can get from the pits. I believe he's on the back side. That would put him about 2 miles from the pit area. Meanwhile, in the pits,
Number 12 is in. Once again, we see their same strategy here. Eric Van der Poel will double stint. They will not change tires. They're getting such a good balance with the race car. The drivers are very happy to double stint the tires, feeling that the performance edge does not go away. As I mentioned before, they're running the harder 480 compound Goodyear. Really allows them to double stint the tires. See here, they're just waiting on fuel. Eric stays in the car. The driver stays in a good rhythm, stays on the same tires.
nice clean sets of tire tracks down the pit lane. Eric Van de Poel is back out onto the racetrack. Ferrari V12, 4-liter. I always go back to the McCann car. It looks like the day is over. They're going to be towed in. This car actually led the class at several points today. GTO class a little bit thin here, just 6 cars entered at Road America, and that will mean less competition for the class leaders. At number 5, this car, the Speed Lab Allen machine. We have a driver change coming up. Borcheller will get out, Ron Johnson will get in. These guys have had to work very hard to keep this car on track. We'll be right back. Back at Road America, Bob Varsha, David Hobbs with you. And what is wrong with this picture? Hurley Haywood being spoken to by the Grand Am pit marshals. It appears that he has pulled into the wrong pit. You see his crewman at the back of the screen there looking up ahead. Where is Hurley?
And he's having trouble getting out too for some reason or other. This car was running 4.
This is going to be a disaster. He may have undone the belts in anticipation of a driver change. He had to buckle them back up again, and now he's going to have to make a 4-mile lap of Road America before he can hit the car. And that will be a tremendous blow to this team, who have won on a number of occasions in this Grand Am season, but have not tasted the lead once today yet. Haywood with victories at Daytona, at Le Mans, at Sebring. Without doubt, the most decorated American endurance driver of all time and one of the world's best. Boy, a very uncharacteristic mistake for Haywood.
Very costly mistake too for the team, so they weren't too happy about that. Here comes the Scott Schubert hooks Leitzinger car to put a lap on him, another lap on him as they go into turn 6.
Let's see if we can get more clarity from the pit lane. Here's John.
Car 74 with Hurley Haywood aboard came into the pits for their normal stop and went right by the pits. The problem is he undid the seat belt and then killed the car further down the pit lane. They had to go down, get the car restarted with an outboard battery, and then they had to strap him back in before he could do another lap and come back in for the routine stop. The problem is now, does he have enough fuel to get around this 4-mile track and back up to where he should be in his pit lane right now?
All right, thanks, John. You saw co-driver Jack Baldwin shake his head as he walks away and waits for his car. Here's the third-place car in Sports Racer 2, Dennis Spencer, who was tipped into a heavy crash at the Lime Rock round. They are back with that kudzu Mazda, running well here at Road America. This is not a car known for its top speed. They are hanging in well. Meanwhile, Hurley has made it around, back down to Biz.
Okay, this time Hurley Haywood does come into the exact stopping area. He must have been a little bit confused when everyone was waving at him before as he went by. After that stop, he had undone his seat belts and he had to outboard power to get the car started, and then they had to fasten his seat belts before he could come around again for the stop. Very lucky that he did not run out of fuel on that last lap back into the pits, but Hurley is out of the car. Jack Baldwin is being strapped in. Jack was complaining about the brakes on the car. Again, they're working a little bit on the aerodynamics up front. Right now, the 74 car is not in its normal high position. They've had some problems down here, guys.
Well, in Hurley Haywood's defense, it must be said that he has not driven this car before. Adding a man to the team, not used to the team uniforms. You see a penalty being applied by the pit marshals. Looks like it's going to be a 10-second penalty for some infraction. Now Jack Baldwin will be sent on his way. Talk about adding insult to injury.
Boy, oh boy, what a terrible run of luck for the 74 car. Boy, they had a great run at Homestead, and they also had, of course, a tremendous run earlier on at Phoenix of Hare winning in this car, having been told in the afternoon he's going to drive it, floats. Phoenix jumps in the car and wins the race. So this car's got a lot of potential with the Judd engine. Should have good fuel economy around here, but that stop there has really thrown him out, because I guess Hurley Haywood pulled into the wrong pit, and of course he'd undone his belts to get out, and of course then he's really done for it, because you can't do the belts up yourself.
John Bizignano is with Hurley.
Hurley, what happened the first time you came in the pits?
Well, I missed the pits completely there. I didn't realize that there couldn't be somebody standing out there with the cone, so I was expecting to see our guys, and when you come up, you know, after being on the racetrack, you look down the pit road and there's 100 cones out there, so I just plain screwed up.
What about the car? Jack Baldwin was telling us that the brakes were having a little bit of a bad day.
Yeah, the brakes, if you coast into the corners and are nice and easy with them, they're okay. But as soon as you get behind something where you gotta outbrake them, like most of the cars out there, you just can't do it. The pedal will go all the way to the floor, and that's not such a nice feeling.
I can imagine not. Now there in Canada Corner, you see the 00 AGT car of Paul Jenkins, Bruce Nesbitt, and Steve Pelkey being pulled out of the kitty litter. I must say the safety cars have been working under local yellows here in some pretty sketchy positions in the gravel traps. Well, Jack Baldwin goes to work, a puff of smoke as he upshifts, making his way over that brow under the flag stand. Another lap complete here at the revival of the Road America 500 miler. Plenty of racing still to come. The race leader is James Weaver. Dyson Racing Ford will be back. Back at Road America, James Weaver and Andy Wallace, the leaders here in the sports racer category and the overall at the Grand American Road Racing Association revival of the Road America 500. Bob Varsha along with David Hobbs, John Bizignano, Calvin Fish. Andy Wallace with a terrific endurance racing record of his own. Victories at Le Mans, at Daytona, at Sebring.
And his first trip to this track, and he absolutely loves it. Probably could have done with a bit more practice yesterday when the rain was so bad, but nevertheless, getting into grips with the track today. Got a great car for this track. Ooh, trouble at middle. That's down at 5. Wow.
One of the G&W cars is losing a fluid out the back and it's catching fire, oil or fuel or something. That's the number 80 car. Now he was running for a podium position in GTU. That is Scooter Gable sharing with Michael Schramm and John Morton. And that's the number 66 car. Kevin Buckler and Phil Collin. I wonder.
Whoa! 21 car. Obviously that was oil and fluid he was dropping there going up to 6, so obviously pretty slick as you approach there, hard on the brakes. Yellow flags out, oil flag out there, the stripe flag.
Here comes the race leader by.
Whoop,
another GTU car.
Is that the 50 car? No.
At number 21, Porsche 911 is in the hands of Andy Hajuki and Bob Oniglia. Both New England drivers. Here's another look at that amazing fire out the back of the Porsche.
I'm not sure that's oil or gas. It's not leaving much smoke, which would probably indicate it's gas, but it obviously made the track pretty slick as we saw that car spinning on the way up the hill there. There's the 66 car at the bottom of the hill.
Here's another look at the 21 going around. One of the older Porsche 911 models, still retaining that unmistakable 911 shape. Scooter Gable getting out. They had a terrific run at the Paul Revere 250 during holiday time around the 4th of July. Red and yellow flags mean oil or other fluid is down. The white means safety vehicles are on the course, and the double yellow means we have a full course caution, something we don't see very often here at Road America.
But there we see the pace car out in front of the leader now. Andy Wallace in that 16 car, pulling the field down that back straight.
Whoa, and we have a problem for the Ferrari. The number 12 car. Looks like Eric Van der Poel has had contact with someone.
Yeah, the front nose is awry there, and the left front, whether that smoke just coming off the tyre, it's hard to tell. It looks like an awful lot of smoke to be coming off the tyre, but that could easily be the bodywork.
Calvin Fish is there.
Heavy damage to the left front. Actually, it looks like the wheel had come loose and actually caused this burnout on the left front of the Ferrari. I didn't see a wheel nut there as he came in. The wheel was literally hanging off to the side, and the team goes to work. But as you can see, he's carefully threading that nut on, seeing if he can get it tight. This is a major concern. Eric Van der Poel was behind the wheel when this problem happened. Fortunately, they were under yellow, able to get the car in. But I'm not sure that wheel's tight, guys. They're looking at it, they give him the old clear, but let's see if that thing doesn't come loose.
So no contact, it appears, but a very lucky moment for that Ferrari team as Mimo Schiattarella takes the car back on track. Will have paid the price for track position.
Unusual for a wheel nut to work its way off after such a long time as that.
Let's get back down to Calvin with Eric Van der Poel.
Eric, we saw you bring the car in under the caution period. It looked like the left front wheel nut was gone and the wheel was literally hanging off. Did that happen at speed out on the course?
No, I was slowing down behind during the yellows. It means I had no worry, nothing, but we were quite lucky because it could happen 1 lap before, 2 laps before. But maybe it was because it was cooling down and then the nut went off. I don't know.
Do you believe there's any damage to the upright, or do you think it's going to be okay?
No, I think it's okay because it arrived just here and I came back slowly, and I think it will be fine.
Okay, mate. Good luck.
Thank you.
Always a ready smile from Eric Van der Poel. Meanwhile, carbon fiber black Intersport Lola hits and comes back out again.
Oliver Gavin still behind the wheel. There's the 50 BMW, which has been having such an incredible race. The 81 Porsche for GTU on this.
Front end looks like a 37 Chevy Business Coupe, but somehow it works. There is Andy Wallace out front. American GT class cars behind him. Take a break. Right back. Back at the Road America 500, Bob Varsha, David Hobbs with you. We are ready to go green, but with the yellow still out, a couple of last-minute pit stops. It's one of the Tampoli SR2 cars in front, but perhaps more important, the number 27 Our pole-sitting Doran Judd, now in the hands of Italian Mauro Baldi, has dropped all the way back to 5th in the overall and sports racer category, and he is pitted for fuel only, so he will make up some time on the track.
That should put him in good stead later on in the race, because that Judd engine car is very, very good on fuel anyway. This car pulls off. Yes, it does pull.
Playing mind games with our race leader, Andy Wallace.
Whoa, look at that jump start.
Man.
Yeah. They may have been playing mind games, but he certainly legged it out of there, didn't he?
And he's got slower traffic behind him. That'll keep his pursuers behind. Let's look back. There is
Scott Schubert in the 8 car. Got some lap traffic between himself and, of course, there's the Baldwin car, which is a number of laps down now. GTU leader trying to go around the inside of that Viper at turn 1.
Here comes Baldwin. Leitzinger in the number 8. He's got his work cut out for him, because up ahead, Andy Wallace has clear track in front of him.
And of course, Butch has got his work cut out here, because he's got a couple of very quick cars in front of him. The 74 car, which is some laps down, and the 91 car, which is leading the All-American GT class as they go into turn 5. All-American GT car giving him a bit of room there, but Leitzinger having to get right to the edge of the road there. Some of that debris from the incident caused that long flag there. You can see the oil dry all the way up there to turn 6, so that'll be a bit slick for a couple more laps here.
Good look at Werner Frank from Daytona Beach, Florida. Chevy Camaro leading American GT. While Jack Baldwin leading Butch Leitzinger, but that is not for position. Leitzinger is running second, and Baldwin, as David mentioned, several laps down after that unfortunate faux pas by Hurley Haywood, parking in the wrong pit.
Through that carousel, these cars got a lot of grip through there, a lot of downforce. Boy, oh boy, look at that new loader there, whistling around there. Butch Leitzinger making that huge ground on Jack Baldwin in that one corner.
Of course, that's the strength of that new Lola V2K10. Unusual looking car, but enormous downforce on that machine. Truly a state-of-the-art sports car.
Boy, and that corner there really shows up to the carousel, because you're in there for a long time. It goes some fairly high entry speed, and you maintain a high speed all the way through it, and he was whistling through there. And look how much time he gained up through that S's under the bridge there too. Won't be particularly picking up quite so much time. Look, he's a bit twitchy at the back there. Butch Leitzinger now in hot pursuit of the leader, who of course is now out of sight.
I'm guessing Leitzinger's car is trimmed out for top speed on these long straightaway runs at Road America. That's why he was squirming under acceleration down there in 14.
Always a big compromise here. Here's a 12 car, which you saw at that unfortunate pit stop when the wheel came.
Well, it didn't quite come off. It might well have. I think it was the wheel nut had come off.
Actually, it was the bodywork that held the wheel on, really, in the end.
Close moment for them. They run in 3rd place right now with Nino Schiattarella behind the wheel, that is. Just love saying that name. He heads off down the backstretch. So the order is Wallace, Leitzinger, Schiattarella. Here comes one of the Hill Beams. This is from the Redmond Bright stables, running in the SR2 category.
This is the car that went off on the very first lap into the gravel trap, but obviously got it back on the road now. Mark Smith was driving at that time. He went off the road on the very first lap, but back and in full flight now.
Passed by one of the Tampoli Raffaele Engineering Tampoli RTA99s. It's an Italian Sports Racer 2 chassis just ahead, the red number 51, and this Hillbeam, silver 68.
You like saying that Camparelli too,
I'm definitely going to have to take some Italian lessons. Well, we got a car off, being dragged out of the gravel traps.
Pro Technique Racing Porsche GT3R with Jan Rask and Tom McGlynn driving it.
Friendly toe out, and away you go. And that's in that same turn 6
Look
area.
at all that gravel coming out the back.
That's where all that speedy dry was down. So it claims another victim, and now there's gravel on the track as well. Meanwhile, flying down the backstretch through the kink, headed for Canada corner.
This is that great SR2 race too.
Yeah, all 3 of the front runners in the category right there. But they are not in order. The 3rd place car in the serial there, the yellow number 99 for Snow and Schumacher, is the class leader. The 2 cars up ahead, however, are fighting for 2nd place. And if the 99 can hold on to win, it will break a 5-race winning streak in the class with that car just ahead of him. We'll take a break and return. Back at Road America, Andy Wallace of England drives the number 16 Bedford Norcold Dyson Racing Riley and Scott Ford. He and his teammate James Weaver dominating the race right now. There is the second place car in the hand of Butch Leitzinger. Philip Creighton Motorsports Lola Ford V8. All the Ford V8s in this sports racer category come out of the shops of the Lozano brothers in San Antonio, Texas. For a pushrod motor, pretty much dated technology in contemporary sports car racing, they run very, very well.
And they've done a lot of work on their fuel consumption. There's the 91 car that's leading the All-American GT class. In the pits with the driver change going on, Werner Frank getting out.
It's a bit tough getting out that window for some of us.
Werner Frank looking to have a similar outline to David.
Standing too close to too many tomato sandwiches, as again once said Benny Parsons. This is the number 12 Ferrari who survived that close moment when the left front wheel came loose. Remo Schiatarella currently at the controls as he sweeps through the carousel. Ooh, close moment there as he goes underneath the second Dyson car. Let's get to the pits and Calvin Fish.
Andy Wallace unexpectedly in, only a few laps after the last stop. He's in there looking at the right front. It may be a braking problem. They're going to the right front pads, it seems. Problems with the brakes on the number 16 machine. They suspected that pad wear would be a problem here. Over on the right front corner, they definitely have a problem. The mechanic is working on that right now. They take this opportunity, obviously, to refuel Andy. They look under the back of the car as well. But it seems as though brakes is the issue right now on the 16 car.
And this is going to cost them precious time on track. They had that yellow flag period when this work might have been done if they had known about it. It's been these niggling mechanical problems that have been derailing the Dyson team all year. Let's get down for a further update from Calvin.
Number 16 remains on pit lane. They're still working on these front brakes. They're changing the pads. This is the sprint configuration. They actually have 4 pads in each caliper as opposed to 2. With the leading edge on the pad, it actually gives it more bite, gives it better braking, but obviously wears them out a little bit quicker. We spoke to Weaver over the weekend. He was concerned about this. They said under full heavy loads, the brakes were going away. They were having to try to baby them a little bit, but this has cost them valuable time under green flag racing, and it's certainly cost them time to that number 8 machine that continues to sprint around this racetrack with Butch Leitzinger behind the wheel.
All right, thank you, Calvin. Tough break for Dyson.
Seems hard to believe that just a few laps ago when we had that long extended caution that they wouldn't have known at that stage they had a very long brake pedal, and that obviously would have been the time to change brake pads, because this is proving a very long stop. Meanwhile, the Ferrari, the number 12 car, Schiatarella, has been in, out, and they're still there. Now they've taken the front off the Weaver Wallace car.
Beautifully done. This is the Risi Competizione Ferrari. These guys show up in full Formula One regalia. Oh, we got a car off. Is that one of the sports racer light category cars? Car number 22.
That's the Archangel Motorsports. That's our perennial leader. Boy, that's not the place you normally see him.
Ryan Hampton, Larry Alberto, and Paul Macy. The 5-race winning streak appears to be over, and it will be handed over to Martin Snow and Larry Schumacher in this car to the pit lane in Biz.
Baldy brings the number 27 in for what should be the last stop, but they are going to do a driver change. Didier Tays is unbuckling Baldy and trying to get into the seat just as fast as possible. All 4 tires out, the seat out, 1 driver out, 1 driver in. Fuel has to be absolutely to the maximum. I talked to Kevin Dorn and he said, can we go to the end? And he said, if Baldo can't get the car back here, he missed 1 lap. We should have come in a lap earlier. We will be able to go to the end, but it was just kind of with a question mark. Right now, they got to get every single drop of fuel into that tank. Baldo out of the car, a little bit of extra time in strapping in DDA. He was extremely fast when the first end. Right now, they are out of here. That should be their last time for today.
I agree with you, John. Here's the 4th place car. John Field of the Low getting a little bit swirly there, down in 5. This is that slick part of the racetrack. Oh, that's slick. Ah.
John Field there in the gravel trap at the top of number 6. He was lying 4th. Dug in. It's high-sided, so he's going to have a tremendous job getting out of there. What a shame. That car was going so well.
The track crews have been all over today getting cars out, but well, I don't know if they can do it fast enough for John.
Boy, it's slippery up there at the top of 6, though. Obviously, all that oil and petrol that was laid down by those 2 cars, the 60 and the 80 car that crashed there earlier on. So now the number 8 car is our leader.
And approaching
Comes
that
to
same spot.
slippery spot, but manages to get away with it okay.
Field gets out. Now, I guess the point is they've been by this spot lap after lap. They know the oil is there.
Here we see it again. He's down at 5. He gets pretty much out of shape. I wonder if that right rear tire is going away a bit too. But he stays very wide there, locks it up into the gravel.
He stayed on that oily line.
Oh yeah, that was a bit of a mistake. I wonder if that right rear tire is going down or going away in some way, because he obviously had a lot of trouble with it back down at turn 5. Meanwhile, number 8, the Lola Ford, is pulling away in the lead.
Butch Leitzinger in the race lead. It would be the first of the year for his teammate Scott Schubot. That story's yet to be told. Back at the Road America 500, getting late in the race now. You're looking at the GTU category leaders, Mike Fitzgerald and Darren Law in their Porsche 911 GT3R.
They've certainly had a great season, been very, very strong in GTU all season, and had a wonderful run here today. Under pressure earlier on from the number 50 car, but at the moment well in control.
Here's the number 5 car, the GTO class leader, Ron Johnson, sharing with Terry Borcheller. We cannot overstate what this Speed Lab crew has been through this weekend. The car was burned to the ground on Friday. 48 straight hours of hard effort to get that car rebuilt, and it looks fairly pristine. See the safety crews working to pull John Fields' car.
Pulling John Fields' car out of the gravel trap. What a shame for the Fields car, but the 5 car again, after a tremendously harrowing weekend, the car almost burnt to nothing. Have put it together again and assumed the lead in the GTO again.
A victory for them would lock up at least a tie in the Drivers' Championship for Borcheller and Johnson, if I'm not mistaken. Here's your American GT class leader. RVO Motorsports Chevy Camaro, Roger Schramm, Irv Hare, and Werner Frank. There is Martin Snow, his teammate Larry Schumacher, and he could pick up their first victory in Sports Racer 2 today. Excuse me, I was about to say up front. I'm used to saying that about Andy Wallace and James Weaver, but they had that brake problem that dropped them 3 laps down. There's the sister car, the number 20, just ahead of them.
Now being driven by John Paul Jr., so he might give these guys a bit of a run, because these guys are now battling for 4th position. So I don't think that John Paul Jr. is going to give up at this stage. Quickly, I feel they've got some lap traffic.
Tough place to overtake a slower car in the carousel.
Andy Wallace really kicked very fast. It's one of those corners. Is it flat? I don't know. Is it flat? Are you taking flat, sort of flat.
You better have telemetry to check.
Yes, you can't say those things anymore, of course, because the guys would say you weren't even close to that.
Now, there's a good story from the pits. Our race leader, the number 8 machine of Schubot and Leitzinger, has been having on and off radio problems all day today. So in this late round of pit stop shuffling, we're not sure if the race leaders even know where they are on the racetrack. We're approaching the front straightaway. It serves as a signaling pits as well for everyone, but interesting to see what's going on with the 8 car. Meanwhile, here's the 27 running in 3rd place right now. Excuse me, make that 2nd place after the Ferrari stopped for fuel. This is Didier Taze, who started the car from pole position based on car rotor points after qualifying was rained out. They are in position to try to overhaul the number 8 car. There is the 8 right there, just over the brow, ahead of the number 27.
So not very far in front, just a few hundred feet. There comes the 27 car going under the flag stand now. Beautiful view of that lovely Wisconsin countryside in the background. This really is the most picturesque circuit, and of course it's wonderful to drive on too. It has a great variety of corners, some elevation change, some decent straights, and some good, really well-defined overtaking spots. You know, you can really get alongside people. So many in the modern circuits weave all over the place. It's hard to make a pass, but here it's a great circuit to drive on, and as I said earlier, it's a tremendous track to view from.
Shadows growing long across the racetrack as Butch Leitzinger continues on his way, being caught up. Let's get more on that radio situation with Calvin.
During that last pit stop, guys, they managed to fix the radio problem on the number 8 car. Butch Leitzinger is aware that he is in a battle for the lead, so it's not like he's out there running by himself, not knowing what's going on. He realizes that battle with Taze is for position. The big question here, of course, for the Creighton crew is whether the Taze car has to stop for fuel. We do not know.
All right, thank you, Calvin. So Butch Leitzinger is aware of his situation. Of course, Butch is the kind of guy who goes hard all the time. Once again, we're catching slower traffic in the carousel.
Oh, that gives you a good idea me of how quick that carousel is. It just goes on for it. It's almost 180 degrees through that corner. No camber to help you except right on the edge. The exit, the road just rises a little bit, which puts a little bit of pressure on those outside wheels and gives you a little bit of grip.
This is for the race lead. Leitzinger being pursued by Tays, two great sports car drivers in two very different cars. Lola Ford against Doran or Ferrari chassis with that Judd V10 engine. And once again, slower traffic ahead as they go up under the Billy Mitchell Bridge.
Bad place to find lap traffic there.
Into turn 14 and then up the brow once again as the laps continue to tick away. Leitzinger, Tays, and Schiatarella in the Ferrari. We'll be back. Welcome back to Road America as the Road America 500 continues in this inaugural season for the Grand American Road Racing Association. We have a great battle for the overall race lead. Butch Leitzinger against Didier Tays. And they've got slower traffic ahead as they head down towards turn 5.
Wow, a lot of slower traffic ahead. That 99 car is not going to be very helpful too because he's leading the SR2 class, although he's staying well out of the way as they go into turn 5. Didier Tays there foiled. Of course, that's a great overtaking spot, but not with all that traffic there. Drivers keeping a bit to their left as they go under the bridge because that slippery patch that we saw catch out John Field a few laps back. Turn 7, that quick right flick. There's one of the Pilbeams in front of him. All American GT cars.
Ooh, delicate moment here. Nowhere to go. Look at just Tays all over the back of Leitzinger. You break your way through the traffic and I'll be right there on your gearbox, fella.
Now this is a place where that Lola should have more speed through there, I think, than that Ferrari chassis. I thought they got more downforce probably. Maybe Butch Leitzinger's got some sort of problem. You know, he had a radio problem. Maybe he's got some other chassis problems. He shouldn't be, unless of course he's trying to conserve fuel to get to the end of this race without having another fuel stop.
Going under the GTO race leader, Ron Johnson, and that number 5, Saleen Allen Speed Lab Mustang. Also on the same lap with these two race leaders, Mimo Schiatarella in the number 12 Ferrari is lurking not too far behind. Then John Paul Jr., Andy Wallace, and John Field are all 3 laps down to the race leaders, but they're on the same lap battling for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Jack Baldwin another lap behind on his own lap, as is Howard Katz, the next car in line, and then the race leaders in Sports Racer 2, Snow and Schumacher, with the second place car in SR2, Rich Grupp and Dennis Spencer, 1 lap behind their class leader.
Leitzinger seems to be losing time in all the wrong places. He must have something wrong with the car, because down the front straight there, he was as quick or quicker than the Lister-owned car. But through those corners, turns 1 and 2 and 3, he caught up. Didier Tays made ground with himself. Maybe he's got a problem with his handle somewhere. Maybe he's got a brake problem. It's a long race here. Very tough on brakes this road course. Some extremely high speed braking points down to very low speed turns. So you really hammer the brakes here.
Keep in mind, this is after more than 100 laps of racing. More than 400 miles deep into this race. Here we are with the numbers 1 and 2 cars in the race, nose to tail, and the 3rd place car on the same lap.
Very close race for such a long one.
Ooh, a little bobble there from Leitzinger.
Into the carousel again. Well, this time he does pick up a bit of ground, doesn't he? He opens up a bit. Looks quicker through the carousel this time than last time. Was a time when the hill on the right there, they've dug it all the way in the last few years. That hill used to come right to the edge of the track there on the exit of the carousel. I mean, you didn't want to go up there, otherwise you'd find yourself in the forest.
This great racetrack in the Kettle Moraine region of central
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Here he goes down the inside.
Oh, Tays for the race lead, sliding it through the corner and takes the lead in Canada, but Leitzinger's right there trying to respond.
Boy, Leitzinger, that must have taken him a bit by surprise. He wouldn't have expected that Judd-powered car to be able to get in there at the end of that straight into Canada corner, but he did. A great pass there by Didier Tays.
And that was all on the brakes. Let's take another look.
He drafts him down that Kettle Moraine back straight. As I say, it's not very straight, and pulls out, just does a beautiful job here out braking into the Canada corner. Canada corner looking a bit slippery. We've seen at least 1 car in that gravel trap there too. So, and look at this again, the Lola Ford looking just a little bit quicker down that front straight. Into turn 1, down to turn 3. They call this turn 3 really because it's the 3rd flag stand. It's all a bit confusing. It's really turn 2, but
Turn 2
folklore, it's turn 3 now. So
just a kink at the top of that brow is what they call turn 2, then 3. And this run down to 5.
As you said earlier, the shadow's getting longer now. Beautiful place to watch a race this. Especially down here at turn 5. You can get the lawn chairs out, sun shining on them, and the beer stands and the food stands are close at hand.
Carefully now.
More traffic here for Didier.
Calamity Corner. I was mentioning this is the Kettle Moraine district of central Wisconsin. Lots of lakes dotting this area, carved by the glaciers eons ago. This great racetrack has been eyed by a number of World Championship series, including Formula One, as Butch Leitzinger swings the tail out once again.
This would be a great Formula One racetrack because there'd be room for passing and there'd be room for the people. I mean, you can get 120, 130,000 people in here easily, and you can get them in and out because there's a tremendous county road system all around Road America. So getting people in and out is pretty good.
Good hotels not far away. You can be in Chicago in about an hour's drive. Of course, there are the charms of Siebkens in the village of Elkhart Lake, one of the legendary watering holes in all of motorsports. We'll take a break. Close to the end, Road America 500. Final 10 laps of the Road America 500, and there is your race leader, Didier Taze, who started this Doran Ferrari chassis with a Judd engine from pole position, and moments ago passed Butch Leitzinger for the race lead.
And having passed him, he's certainly put a lot of daylight between himself and the number 8 car with Butch Leitzinger in it. So Leitzinger must be having some sort of a problem.
Whoa, there's a big problem.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Now that's not a sight you see very often. Butch Leitzinger off the road. That's the carousel into the gravel trap. And I've no doubt smoke coming out of the side pod there. I think that's something that may have caused that in the first place.
Smoke may just be overheating, but we'll find out sooner or later.
He's going to be able to get it back on the road, assuming he can get the thing started.
They're running so well.
So that takes a tremendous amount of pressure off Didier Taze in the Judd Doran here, now leading. So he's got a pretty healthy lead now over the Schiattarella Ferrari number 12. And with just a few laps left, he can certainly... There is the number 12 car.
Going around one of the SR2 cars. Schiattarella with a wave saying, "Thank you for letting me by." I'm not sure it wasn't a bit premature there, Mimo.
SR2 car being a bit overly enthusiastic there. There's the 8 car.
Scene of the crime, so to speak. You can't get him back out. We've seen a number of cars into the gravel traps, pulled out and sent on their way today, which frankly I'm in favor of if it can be done safely, keeping cars in the race.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's one of the big downfalls of Formula 1. Look at all that, he's got the thing going again. All that gravel coming out of the back on the exit. And that does look like smoke coming out the left side of the car as well.
Here comes Jack Baldwin in the number 74 car.
Well, let's hope that gravel doesn't catch somebody on the exit of now still down to the kink. And trying to stay out of the way. There's the GTU leader coming up, the 81 car just behind him. So no doubt heading back to the pits now to and the GTO leader as well, the number 5 car.
Butch Leitzinger will be taking it easy. A whole lot that can be done when the car is healthy at this point.
No, still dropping gravel. WCR leader, the number 27 car, Didier Taze.
He's looking for his second victory of the year. He picked up his first at Homestead Miami Speedway 3 races into the season. And if he can hang on to win, depending on what Jack Baldwin does, Taze could move into second place in the championship behind James Weaver. The number of drivers still in the running for the championship. There's Mimo Schiattarella, now second overall and in the sports racer class. Butch Leitzinger has made it to pit lane. Calvin Fish will be there to greet him as he makes his way down under the speed limit to his pit. Calvin?
The number 8 machine driven by Butch Leitzinger has put in a superb performance today, but problems out there on course. Butch brings it in. They're unsure whether it's an engine and fluid related issue at the back of the car or whether it's a tire issue. The crew is going to work anyway, putting on 4 new skins to the car, and they're checking out the back end of the car. I don't see any massive fluid leak back here, so this smoking issue that you saw on the track is really a mystery right now, but Butch obviously had a problem for him to go off course like that. But the changed all the tyres, disconnect the jacks, they're going to fire it back up, and he'll go out. He'll be cautious, try and feel the car out, try and get it to the finish.
Well, we'll see what Butch Leitzinger can salvage. If there's nothing wrong with the car, just a case of over-exuberant cornering, I guess.
So another lap down there by Didier Tays. Here's the 12 car lying in second spot. As you said earlier, the Ferraris, all these engines, of course, are restricted to try and get parity in the racing with such a tremendous divergence of engines, V12s, V10s, V8s, push rods, overhead cam. And one of the ways they try to do it is restrict the air. It's got some sort of a chassis problem, which I think is how Didier got around him in the first place. Because I think that load of 4 should be a better match than it was for Didier's car. But
great moment by Leitzinger to take it out there and gas it. It's not helping.
Yeah. Can't imagine. Well, it could be a broken cut. There's fluid
Definite
coming
smoke.
out there. That's
Yep.
definitely fluid coming out there. Looks like coming out the breather pipe.
Meanwhile, the number 12 on his way, hoping to close ground on the number 27. Now the question is, will the 27 need another stop? Let's get an answer from Biz.
Some very cautious relaxation going on here in the Kevin Dorn pits. They right now have over a 40-second lead, and they know for sure that they have enough fuel to go the distance. Once the pressure was off by Leitzinger, they could ease back short shift and make sure that they had plenty of fuel in that very economical Judd motor.
In the background, you had a look at Kevin Doran, all of his boys standing there with stopwatches up along the pit wall while the boss is behind. He knows what's going on. We'll be back. Back at Road America, final lap for Didier Tays, sharing this Doran Judd special with Mauro Baldi and car owner Freddie Leinhard. White flag for the race leaders.
Here's the Old American GT race leader in front, the 91 car. 69 car is one of the pill beams. That's the Redmond Bright car. Mark Bunting and Michael Lauer driving that.
That was the car, I believe, that gave them some trouble down in the carousel just a few laps ago. Getting out of the way nicely there. There's Mimo Schiatarella in the now second place. BC Competizione Ferrari 333 SP.
The Bruce Nesbitt 00 Mustang. Saw him in the gravel trap earlier on, down right here at Canada Corner, actually. Being pulled out under the Mitchell Bridge. A very tricky corner that, you know, you got the bridge parapet in the way, there's that rise in the ground, you can't see over it, you can't see round it. But Schiatarella successfully navigates it for the last time but one. And he's coming to take the white flag right now.
Especially tricky part of that corner is that it turns. You have to be ready to be in your turn before you can see where the road goes. Schiatarella takes the white flag.
Beautiful afternoon. They've had a wonderful race weather-wise, considering how bad it was qualifying and everything yesterday afternoon. Absolutely appalling.
Several of our camera positions were struck by lightning yesterday. Nobody hurt, thank goodness.
There's the 20 car, John Paul Jr. still running in third. Behind him is the Lever Wallace car. He never has recovered, of course, from that diabolical brake stop they had to have under green just a few laps back, which took them out of contention.
Difficult day for both of the Dyson cars. Early for the 20 car, late for the 16. Couple of corners left for this man, Didier Tays, to pick up his second Grand American Road Racing Association victory of the year here at the Road America 500. We've had a number of different leaders, some interesting action both on the track and in the pits. All in all, a great day of sports car racing as this amazing Doran Judd comes across the line and a fist in the air, crew on the wall, traditional celebrations for Didier Tays, Mauro Baldi, and Freddie Leinhard as they take victory at Road America.
Yeah, terrific. There's some number 2 car still in the carousel, so quite a long way behind, about half a lap down for the number 12 car.
And by now, they know the winner has crossed and they are safely in second place. Negotiate traffic right here.
Big car too, that bipede. Don't go bouncing off one of those. A lot of weight and muscle behind that down to Canada Corner for the last time. You can see a lot of brake marks there. It's a slippery bit of road, that slightly curving approach, but it's also a very tempting place to overtake people.
Up under the Billy Mitchell Bridge, heading for turn 14 is Mimo Schiatarella, the Formula One veteran. Sharing his car today with Eric Van de Poel, also with Grand Prix experience under his belt. The flag, and Ferrari finishes second here at Road America. Let's take a look at the final results of today's race. Victory to Baldy, Tays, and Leinhardt over the Schiatarella Van de Poel Ferrari. Robinson, Dyson, and Paul Jr. in the Riley and Scott Lincoln, followed by their teammates in the Riley and Scott Ford. First SR2 racers, Snow and Schumacher. Martin Snow and Larry Schumacher break Larry Oberto and Ryan Hampton's 5-race winning streak. GTU winners Darren Law and Mike Fitzgerald finished 14th overall. While the Schramm, Hare, and Frank American GT car pick up the victory in that class, and that ends a 3-race winning streak for the Spirit of Daytona Camaro, Craig Conway, Doug Goad, and Troy Fliss. 40 cars in all started the race, most of them running at the end. A rare full course caution during the day. Look down through the rest of the results. Our winners have made their way to victory lane. John Bizignano and Calvin Fish are standing by to talk to our class winners. Let's begin with Biz and the overall winner.
DDA, fantastic drive. You weren't that happy about being on pole the way you got there, but you've got to be happy about being in this winner's circle.
Very happy for the team, police staff, for everybody. Very happy. You know, it was a hard race, and the car was perfect all race, and our strategy, our pit stop were perfect, and very pleased for the team.
The fuel economy of this Judd V12, that definitely helped you out.
It helped, but I had to short shift many times during the race to keep our strategy going, and when you short shift with the long straightaway like that, you lose a lot of speed, and it was a compromise between a good lap time and saving fuel.
What about that pass at the very end?
I was waiting the right moment. I know I had 12 laps to do it. I didn't want to rush and take any risk. I had to wait the right moment, and it was fine.
If Leitzinger would have stayed out there, could you have stayed in front of him?
Yeah, definitely, yes. I picked up 1 second a lap on him.
Congratulations, DDA. Great, great victory. 500 miles victory.
Very confident Didier Tays. Here's a look at the sports racer class driver standings with 2 events still to go in this inaugural season of the Grand Am. James Weaver with a 13-point lead over Didier Tays, who bumps Jack Baldwin to 3rd place. EFR, Mimo Schiatarella, and others still in the fight. We'll be back with more. Well, it was a hard-earned victory, and it lasted all weekend. The Saleen Speed Lab crew for Terry Borcheller and Ron Johnson, who were standing by in victory lane with Calvin Fish.
Well, if there's a reward for perseverance, it should go to the number 5 team, the Saleen SR, again in victory lane in GTO category. But boys, that was some weekend you had.
Oh, I can't say enough about the crew of the number 5 BSF Saleen Mustang. I mean, they just worked their tails off for the last 3 days getting this car ready. We went out there and we just kept plugging away, and we ended up in victory lane. So it's been a great weekend for us.
Sarah, it seemed at the beginning you were struggling to get all the fuel out of the car, and you kind of fixed that with the reserve pump, but still a bit of a struggle for you guys.
Yeah, it was tough to figure out, but once we got it figured out, it helped us a lot to kind of calm down and just get into a pace. And some of the other competitors weren't as fortunate, and we were just plugging away, like Ron said. So again, hats off to the crew. They did a fantastic job, and Steve Saleen, the Saleen SR, did an awesome job. Took us to the finish.
Ron Johnson, Terry Borcheller, 4th win of the year. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you, Calvin, and congratulations to both men who are now firmly in control of the GTO championships. Only Eric Nestle has a shot at Terry Borcheller and Ron Johnson, if I've done my sums correctly. 2 races still to go in the season. Here's a look at the Informix Way Fast Award. Now, normally these go to the class pole sitters, but because qualifying was called due to storms, we wanted to hand out this money, so we're going to give it to the fastest laps in each class, and there they are. Tays, Hampton, Altenberg, Law, and Hare. Down to John Bizignano.
Martin Snow, a great drive to victory circle here. Congratulations on your first RS2 win.
Well, thank you. It was a good car today, and the tires held up well. The crew was good. We didn't have our crew chief here today. It was a little rough. He had to rush home on Saturday. His wife was in the hospital having a baby, so we lost him, and I hope everything's going well. He had a baby girl, and
well, congratulations to him. Larry Schumacher, when I talked to you in Phoenix, you weren't that happy about this car and this class, but here you are in victory circle.
Well, old dogs learn slow, so I like it a whole lot better than I did back in Phoenix. and we've got an excellent crew, and they've learned the car, so that's the good part of it.
Going to be able to give that Alberto car some competition for the rest of the year?
We're going to try. What the heck, we're here. We might as well try.
There'll be a lot of competition in SR2 for the rest of the season.
All right, thanks, Biz. Larry Schumacher knows what he's talking about. Larry Alberto and Ryan Hampton have dominated the class, but it's not over yet. With 2 races to go, Rich Grubb, Dennis Spencer, and Martin Snow are still in it. Here's Calvin.
Well, a tremendous performance was put in the American GT category by the number 91 machine, led by Herb here. Herb, we saw you in the victory circle at Phoenix in the sports racer category. You changed cars, doesn't seem to make the difference. You're still here winning another one, buddy.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. You know, that was a lot of fun at Phoenix, but, you know, I feel a little more at home in here with a roof over my head. But Rock Valley Oil crew did a great job with this car. I mean, it was handling. At the 2 laps from the end, I went ahead and laid down one of my quickest laps of the race just to show them that the car was still just as good as it was when it started the 500 miles. So, you know, we had a little problem with the wheel nut, lost virtually all the 3-lap lead that we had accumulated at one point. And we even got past, you know, in that, you know, right after that last pit stop. But this Rock Valley Camaro is a pretty good machine. We came back and got it back without too much problem.
Great to see you back.
Thanks a lot.
Congratulations to that crew. Herb Hare is not in the fight, but 4 drivers are still alive for the AGT Driver Championship. McNeil, Mills, Conway, and Goad decided in the remaining 2 races. Back to Calvin.
One of the drivers in the winning GTU car is Darren Law, and boy, you guys are on a roll. 3 in a row, 4 for the year, and really pad that championship lead for Mike. But we keep talking about this. How are you going to catch him up, Darren?
I don't know. I think maybe I'll start the car in the last race and it'll break or something. I don't know. Yeah, we're doing. I got to thank G&W. It's been great. Great year. Car's running great. I mean, we've dominated all weekend. It's been real good.
Great performance. Well done.
Thanks.
I think from the look on Darren Law's face, he knows that somehow he's going to have to get away from his teammate Mike Fitzgerald to win the Drivers' Championship. They have been very successful together in this class.
They have indeed, and we had tremendous racing out there this afternoon, considering this was a 500-mile race, so it's certainly no sprint. We saw the GTU leaders locked together, we saw the SR2 leaders locked together, and of course we saw the big sports cars absolutely locked together right till the end, until Butch Leitzinger had that spin towards the end. This race could have gone anyway, right to the last couple of laps. So 500 miles, I'd say that was a pretty fantastic race. A lot of racing right to the field. The All-American GT, Doug Goad and Conway lost for the first time this year to Herb Hare as he came in. So all in all, a pretty exciting race. And very, very interesting. A lot of racing right down through the field.
And 2 race weekends still to come at Trois-Rivières, Quebec in Canada, and then the 3rd in the trio of race revivals in the Grand American Association for 2000. 6 hours of Watkins Glen, and we will use the full Grand Prix International Circuit, including the booth, at Watkins Glen, New York. So be sure to join us here on Speed Vision for the final 2 races of the Grand American Road Racing Association inaugural season. For Calvin Fish and John Bizignano, as well as David Hobbs, I'm Bob Varsha. So long, everyone.